Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I've been playing the Prismverse Clash for a few days now, and I wanted to share with you 5 essential tips you should know playing in this scenario. The last tip I'll go over is how to level up super fast, and they are most likely going to fix this, so I suggest you do it while you can. Starting off, let's get into some quick frequently asked questions that I've seen out there about this scenario. 1. There are 3 safe zones, one for the Mayflies, one for Rosetta, and one neutral zone. These safe zones basically are just where you start when joining, but outside of that, they're all the same. So if you go Mayfly, you can still drive up and pop your base into the oil fields. Same thing with if you go Rosetta, you can still drive down and put your base anywhere within those safe zones. The next thing is, building in a safe zone means that your base is safe from PvP and safe from being raided. Well, building in a contested zone means that anything can happen. Now, you shouldn't really worry about being raided though, because it's extremely expensive to raid someone. You'll need bombs or rockets, and anything that you destroy is just going to go back to the player's vault anyway, so you're not really going to get anything out of it. Raiding is essentially only going to happen when you're attempting to secure a deviation, or, if you have one hive just raiding each other for the fun of it. So which faction should you choose? Well, that's entirely up to you. The Mayflies are known for their cool gene technology, and the Rosettas have their drones, but both factions can get each other's memetics, so it's really not a big deal. Those items are also all crafted, so I'm sure that you'll be able to buy them from a vendor or in general chat, so just pick the one that you want to play as. Finally, let's talk about death in PvP and what happens in the afterlife. If you die, it's just like dying to a mob. You'll drop a few items from your backpack, nothing major, and you'll need to pick a respawn point. So make sure that you place those tents down when you're PvPing or in a contested zone. So those are the FAQs. Now let's talk about the 5 essential tips. So tip number 1, how to get Deviation energy. So the way Prismverse works is there's these deviations that have deviation energy that you get from the contested zone, and when you get those and you secure them, you get deviation energy, which then goes towards your faction score and your personal score, which will reward your team with Starcrom. And that's basically how one faction can beat the other. So here's a list of all the different deviations that you can get. Now, some deviations can be caught fishing, some can be done through mining, and you can mine anything. It doesn't have to be silver like normal to get a Digby. You can do like iron or whatever, and you have like a small chance that one pops up that has deviant energy, as long as you're in the contested zone. And then finally, the way that you're going to guarantee to get them is through public crisis events. So these public crisis events are basically going to be in the contested zones, so they're going to be PvP enabled. So your faction's going to be fighting with the other faction while you're doing the event, and in the end, the deviation will spawn, and then someone needs to grab it. So one of the big things I want to say is, don't grab the deviation if you are not ready to secure it. You cannot leave the zone. If you go into a neutral zone, it's basically going to kick the deviant back out into the world, the deviation back out into the world, and you also can't teleport with it. So we had some guy grab it and he was trying to teleport, and it's like, hey buddy, you can't do it. And then also I had another guy grab it, and he went to put it in his base, but his base was not in that world, so he wouldn't have been able to do anything with it, so I had him end up bringing it to my base, which was nice. So make sure that if you're going to a public crisis event, it's not on the world, and you're not willing to move your base, then just let someone else grab the deviation, and then you can all take it to their base, and then you can secure it. Tip number 2. So how do you secure the deviation? To secure the deviation is pretty simple. So essentially you'll just take it to your base, and then you place it in the enclosure, and then you wait for the chaos to begin. Depending on the deviation that you have, the basic ones will take about 30 minutes. The other ones that are coming in phase 2 and 3, the special ones can take up to 2 hours. So essentially you'll just pop it in there in a securement unit, just like you would pop all of your other deviations in there, and then from there you'll just wait it out. The biggest tip is once you get the deviation, if you know where you're going or if you're already at your house, you're going to want to press M and then basically shift click right where your location is. Pop that right into the chat, say, hey, I'm on World 2, securing a deviation, please come help, and then your faction will come assist you. Make sure that you do it in faction chat and not in general chat, because then you'll get everybody there. Now, people can see where the deviation is. If you hit M to bring up your map, you'll have this thing on the right hand side where you can click on and it shows deviation power, and it'll show you red marks all along the map where the deviations are, and you can either use that to go find deviations that you want to try to take back or to defend. So essentially anytime someone has a deviation that they're securing, it'll be in that red spot, and then you can go either attack or defend. Tip number 3, make sure your base is defensible. Now, more important than how you build your base is where you build your base. The ideal spot is going to be somewhere on high ground, so you can see I'm up here on a mountain. The other good spot to build a base is going to be somewhere in the water. So if you put your base down here, then you're forcing people to either swim to you, or if you're up on a mountain, like say you build up here on any of these mountain lines, this will also force people to have to climb up to you. And there are mountains all over the map, and essentially if you're trying to get there, you just jump until you get to the top, and then you build up there. You do not want to build your base on low ground. So we just had someone right here. So this guy here, and I've defended with him, he has his base down here. This is a terrible spot. His base is set up pretty nice. Like he's got all of the right things going on as far as being defensible, but the problem is he put it down low, so everybody literally has the high ground, and he ends up getting sniped by everybody up and around this entire area. And then not only that, they can jump down on him. So he's making it way more difficult than he needs to in order to secure those deviations. So again, my biggest tip, not how to build, but where to build. You can basically have like a flat slab up here, and you'll be much more defensible than if you were down here with an entire fortress. So since we're talking about bases, real quick, I'll just go over one thing that a lot of people do is they'll put their rooftops up like this. This allows you to easily go up, peek, and then jump down, and then peek, and then jump down. The next thing that you're going to want to do is, it's very difficult to bomb into the buildings, so make sure that you have at least 2 layers. So you can see here, I have an outside layer before an inside layer. The next thing that I'll recommend is popping up some turrets. So I have turrets here. I have turrets down here because this is the location that you have to go to climb up this particular mountain. I also have, turrets over there. And if someone actually happens to get into my base and I make them come all the way around, turrets, boom, welcome in party. So make sure that you have those. And it's not even like they're going to do a ton of damage, but more importantly, if you're not paying attention, you'll hear those turrets start to go off, and you'll know exactly where they are within the base, and you'll be able to go defend. So that's going to be my number 1 tips for building a base and base defense. The next tip is going to be on drones and the genes, which are the Mayfly and the Rosettas. So here, if I go into my cradle and then I click Memetics and then specializations, so you can see here we get a guaranteed Rosetta, guaranteed Rosetta, guaranteed Rosetta. Mayflies will do the same thing. Now, you'll also notice that I do have some Mayfly stuff. So here, and if you look, I have this one not selected, but essentially, if you are not a Rosetta or a Mayfly, you'll have the ability to get their particular memetics within each time that you level up. So here I can do the Bastille gene. Now, I don't know a lot about the genes because I haven't really done them, but essentially they're like buffs that you can put on, and apparently they last until you die, so they're really good to have. However, I use the drones mostly, so one of the things that I wanted to let you know about the drones is when you build a drone, you'll have the ability to put in 2 modules. So here you can see I can put in, I have the support module that I make, and then you can also put in another module like an armor load, healing. Now these will use different items from your pack, so you'll want to make sure that when you're crafting your drone that you're crafting it with those two modules, because you won't be able to add them afterwards. Now with that said, I make the support module as well as the territory drone. If someone else in your hive can make, you know, the gathering drone or the other drones, then they can make them for you. Same thing with the different modules. You can swap those in and out and then create the drone that you want. Now you'll notice I have two drones here. So I have the firepower drone as well as the territory drone. I'm going to get the gathering drone. So essentially I have all the drones, and then I can use them wherever I want and whenever I want. Now I can only use one at a time. So basically I'll just have a drone for whatever I'm doing in the game, and then I can go ahead and pop that, and then boom, I'm off and I'm having fun. The final tip is how to level up fast. So what you're going to do is you're going to travel to this teleportation tower, which is just south of Blackfell, and then along this road from like here all the way down to like here, you're going to see a bus. So you're going to come out here with your hive or whatever you're doing, or you can do it solo, it doesn't matter, and you just watch that bus. And then once you find the bus, you're going to shoot it, it'll stop. It's the bus that has the armor crate in there, and then what that does is it's going to spawn 5 monsters. I think it's 5. You'll kill them. They are level 42. They forgot to update the monsters, so the level's super high, and since they're level 42, they're going to pay like 360 experience each. And again, there's 5 of them. So you're talking thousands of experience just from killing these 5. It only takes a few seconds. Then boom, you hit the bus again. It drops its butt one more time and it respawns it. If you go with a group, you can basically have the bus sitting in the same spot nonstop while you're just killing mobs, and you'll level up super fast. So they're probably going to realize that they made that mistake and then lower the level of the mobs there. So make sure that if you want to level up fast and get to 50, or you know, I only care about getting to 40 because then you can use the tier 5 stuff anyway. Make sure you go out there and you farm that as soon as possible before it is done. So those are my 5 FAQs and my 5 essential tips that you should know for the Prism versus Clash scenario. Let me know if you have any essential tips or questions in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video or you learned something new, please smash that like button and subscribe for all things Once Human. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.